I've had a lot of fun playing Spider-Man / Peter Parker in all three of the films. And what I think we've done really well is to make each film its own unique movie, and therefore it's been really exciting and a lot of fun for me as an actor to show up, because it's like a brand new character in a sense. I really enjoy playing video games. You know, as I've been busy working on Spider-Man 3, among other things, I haven't had as much time as I'd like to get lost in the world of games, and that's something that I think is pretty amazing these days, because video games, it's like they're worlds. They're like entire worlds. For this game, versus the first two Spider-Man games, one of the things I've noticed from my perspective is that it's a much bigger game. You really do feel like you're immersed in this experience, and that's something that I think has been done to a really high degree with this video game, because it's so big, there's so much to do. It's pretty amazing. I think it's fun and interesting because you can follow the storyline of our movie, or you can go off into all these other side storylines that are unique to the game. I think as a consumer of video games, the first and foremost thing I look for is the quality of game. It's not just about the springboard of the movie title you have or whatever. It's really about the quality of the game. And I think that everybody who's put their work into these games has done an excellent job and has really made it stand out among those titles. One of the things that Sam and I really worked on for black-suited Spidey, or symbiote Peter, we would call him sometimes, is the tone of how I was going to play it, because it was tricky and we were always trying to figure out how dark or how bad to make him, because we didn't want to push it too far, you know, because he's still Peter and he's still got a hold of himself, but he's kind of losing himself in a way. My job as an actor, there's a lot of fantasy fulfillment. I get to like go play things I imagined being as a kid, and a video game is kind of a unique way for me and other people to do that as well, where you get to like slip into your fantasies.
Creating Spider-Man 3 is a pretty amazing experience. You take all of the previous games and the great response from those, and what you want to do is give Spider-Man fans and Spider-Man players the best Spider-Man experience that they can possibly get.
Our city as a whole in Spider-Man 3 is much more elaborate than it's ever been before. There's a city full of cars, and there's sidewalks full of people. There's subways going through it. You can hitch a ride on the subway if you're feeling lazy, and it feels very much like being there. We bring that all the way up to the skytops. Next Gen gives us that power, the power to make a real, full, big, living city.
The biggest improvement as far as the next-gen technology is just the number of polygons that we are able to push. Just to give you an example, the Spider-Man model in Spider-Man 2 was 4,500 to 5,000 polygons. And for the next generation, we're running 55,000 polygons.
Of course, he's the main character, so he's very important, and we're willing to spend that sort of polygons on him. But it's, you know, just the very fact that we can draw this kind of a character is unlike anything that we've been able to do before.
And trying to make the two characters, Red Suit and Black Suit, feel really different. We really took the core of Red Suit and we said, well, what can we do to make this character more impactful? Because, in fact, it's not a different character. It's the same character, but more powerful and stronger and faster. And I think that's a really cool moment for Spider-Man fans. He'll knock guys down streets and he'll, you know, take out 10 guys around him in a single hit. Of course, we have all of the villains from the movie. We have Sandman, Venom, Goblin, but we also have a wide array of other characters as well that you know from the comics. We have 10 storylines in all, and one of which is the movie. So you actually have quite a wide variety outside of the movie storyline.
We approached the design allowing people to decide what their experience was going to be with the game. So if you love the combat, you're going to be focusing on fighting crimes in the city. If what you love about the game is seeing what you can do with this guy who's got all this mobility and freedom of movement, you're going to spend a lot of time swinging around and exploring the city. So we've got multiple games in here, and I think what everybody loves best is going to depend upon what they wanted to do, and they've got the freedom to pick that.
I play Eddie Brock, who becomes Venom. And Eddie is very similar to Peter when the movie starts. They both have the same job. They both work at the Bugle, and they're both kind of after the same woman. I've really only played good guys, so there's no limit to what you can do as a bad guy, and it's the same when we're working here on the game. When you're a protagonist, kind of a bell will go off in your head when you're going outside the realm of reality. But I never heard that bell, because I'm like a, half jerk, half psycho killer alien from outer space. So who's to say what that guy would do? Where Peter is like a really great guy inside, Eddie really has no foundation. He never had someone great like Uncle Ben to tell him, with great power comes great responsibility. So when he receives the same power, he uses it for evil. He actually wants to help the public. He's just trying to punish the people that he feels have done him wrong. But it's kind of a self-centered version of justice. So, he goes after Mary Jane, and of course he hates no one more than Peter Parker. I think there's kind of a universal appeal to Peter Parker in that he's a normal guy. And I think that's worked in the comic books and the films, and works in the game. So I think that's kind of the success of the whole franchise, is that he's a normal person with he has something extraordinary about him, but he's always dealing with very real issues, instead of billionaire, playboy. No one specific. Honestly, I never thought I'd be in a video game, but I just wonder if I can win. I can beat myself and win the game. I don't know. You know what I mean? Some of these are impossible, by the way, to win. I'm convinced. That's probably not going to be used, is it?
No.
Okay, whoops.
Spider-Man 3 is really more involved. There's more going on than maybe in the first two movies combined. Lots of new characters, new bad guys, new side characters, a new female character that Peter Parker deals with. It's just a lot of stuff going on. Lots of fun, lots of carnage, lots of fights, lots of screaming from the boss.
Get me photos, pronto!
J. Jonah Jameson is, of course, shockingly handsome fellow. Creating him originally was a lot of it was about the look and trying to get that all just right. We tried our best to just lift him off the pages of the comic books. He's a blowhard.
Parker!
A nasty boss.
I need pictures for tomorrow's front page.
The first time I got somebody on the street stopping me and talking about J. Jonah Jameson, I of course assumed they were talking about either the first movie or the second movie, but then the second sentence out of their mouth was, it's one of the best games ever. And I have friends who are heavily into gaming too, kids and grown-ups, So yeah, it's great to be recognized from this character, whether it's the movie or the game. More is better for actors, When games started coming out and being based on movies, and then that was great. It's just another avenue for us to, have some fun and pay the rent and all that. And now, of course, games have become such a part of the landscape that we have movies based on games, which, I don't know who would have imagined that 20 years ago. It's great. It's just another medium to enjoy and have fun in. The big difference between doing the character for the game and for the films, of course, is that you don't have to put on a wig and a mustache. I've always thought Spider-Man is the most approachable superhero character. He's just a real everyman kind of guy. Peter Parker is this little nebbish, that in school can't get a girlfriend, success seems to evade him at every turn, in school or once he's out of school, he's having a hard time paying the rent. He's a guy that the vast majority of people can relate to, but then he gets to become Spider-Man and then do some good. And, I think everybody fantasizes about having the power to change things and make the world a better place. Everybody's got a dark side, We'd all like to have the opportunity to just let it out at will sometimes, but we don't, most of us. So it's nice to live through other characters, Topher's character and Toby's character, and see that dark side come out and relish it and wallow in it and have a good time, and then turn off the game and go back to life.
Flint Marko and Peter Parker actually have quite a lot in common because they both represent a darker, malevolent force that cannot be entirely controlled. Once it's conjured, it has the capability of wreaking terrific physical harm and damage. Everybody always talks about how great it is to play a bad guy, and it's because you get to perform emotions that you probably don't really go through that much in your day-to-day existence as just a normal person in society. And I think that what they really captured with this story in Spider-Man 3 is that Peter Parker, he really gets to play both. I mean, it is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and as everyone knows, Mr. Hyde was a lot cooler than Dr. Jekyll. These darker instincts and feelings that are present, once that alien symbiote enters his life, it's like an addiction of sorts. It is an addiction. And Peter Parker gives over to it, and then he really has to fight it. He's just a normal kid. He's bitten by a spider and he gains these powers, but when he's just Peter Parker, he's just a normal guy. And I think that it was really apparent in the actor that they picked. I mean, Toby is a very accessible, kind of open, honest, innocent personality on screen. And I think that that's where the popularity of the movie series starts. And then beyond that, with all the characters, including the villains, you know, when the action sequences settle, you have to have moments of emotional intimacy that anchors the audience in such a way to the characters that they care about what happens to these characters, even the villains. I'm pretty gigantic in the video game, so good luck trying to battle me. You're gonna lose.
Harry is trying to figure out who Spider-Man is, and he's bent on vengeance, but once he finds out that it's Peter, he's kind of taken aback, but you see him in the third film, and he's gotten over that, and it doesn't matter if it's his best friend, he's ready to kill. Playing a villain is appealing in the same way that acting is appealing. You are able to do things that you wouldn't be able to normally do in life. You can go beyond your moral boundaries, and to a certain extent there's no repercussions, or, you know, I guess villains usually get their comeuppance in the end, but for a while you get to do whatever you want. Video games are becoming much more sophisticated, and not just graphics, but the storylines are much more complicated, and to me that's just as appealing as you know, great graphics. And they kind of done it with these games. You can go wherever you want, and not only that, the worlds are kind of filled out around it, so no matter where you go, there's detailed things going on, and that is incredibly appealing for some reason. It enables you to enter that world. You know, this new Goblin is practical. His only desire is to kill Spider-Man. It's not like he's going to design a suit that is going to strike terror to the citizens of New York. He just wants something that is going to get the job done. And he's designed, you know, the sword to cut the webs and the pumpkin bombs, and it's very utilitarian. As far as the board, I don't know. I didn't have any say in that. I suppose it appeals to the youth. It's not your daddy's sky stick.
Hi gang, I'm Bruce Campbell. I'm playing the narrator of the Spider-Man 3 game. And let me tell you all about it. Okay, there's this guy named Spider-Man, and he flips around and spins stuff and catches bad guys. So, go. No, go. I really wish I could say that I was good at gaming, but I've tried some games, and I blew and I currently blow. My comic book experience goes back to like Sad Sack comics and Archie comics, whereas my buddy Sam Raimi, you know, would actually read the Spider-Man comics. So I have to say that's why he directed the series and I didn't. I'd never met any of the villains because these projects are always so top secret that I don't get to meet anyone, because if I saw like a special outfit or something of the bad guy, they would blind me. When I get the scripts, I only get my scene. because I can't really be trusted to have the rest of the script because I have sold them on eBay in the past, and so I just get a couple of pages and it's got Campbell 001, 002 on each page. So I don't know anything about the movie. I don't know anything about any of the movies. Even when the movie comes out, I'm in my contract, I can't even see the finished movie. It's a little harsh, Sam. You're about to play the Spider-Man 3 game. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be difficult, but I'll be there to hold your hand, so don't you worry about a thing.
I wanted Peter Parker not to be like the average superhero. I wanted him to be more like I had been when I was a teenager. Nerdy, not that popular, not too successful with females, a typical teenager. I had wanted to do this strip for a long time, and my publisher wouldn't let me. There were 3 things I will never forget that he told me. 1, he said, Stan, you can't have a teenager as a superhero. They can only be sidekicks. I wanted Peter Parker to have a lot of problems. Personal problems, financial problems, romantic problems, and again, he said to me, don't you know what a superhero is? They don't have those kind of problems. And also, the name Spider-Man. He said, you can't call a hero Spider-Man. People hate spiders. The villains are actually either as important or more important than the hero. Because, you know, you've already introduced the hero. The reader hopefully cares about the hero, but it's who's he fighting next. You always try to get a villain who seems so powerful that your first instinct is to say, there's no way the hero can beat this guy. A lot of people ask me, how does it feel to see these characters come to life? I have been incredibly lucky because the people who bring them to life are so incredibly talented. Sam Raimi, who directs the Spider-Man movies, he's a genius. He's taken these stories that I wrote a long time ago, and he makes them seem greater than they really are. He does a great job. I get the credit. I love this arrangement. Same with the video games. When I see these video games and the artwork and the action and all the possibilities for the player, all the things he can do, I love it.